Coach, you want to just talk briefly about your group and then go into questions?
Excited to get started. We got a lot of work to do, a lot of guys to replace. We're just anxious to get on the field and get going. So start firing away.
Well, I mean, the big one is Derek Carr. You had a pretty good luxury your first 2 years here to have him in that position, and I know he feels you helped him out a ton. But is it different going into this camp without that returning guy who's been here longer than you have?
Well, yeah. Offensively, for us, it all starts with the quarterback position, and you're right. You know, we had the luxury of having a quarterback that had played. We knew who our quarterback was going into our first camp and last year's camp. So, that guy touches the ball every play. So it'll be critical for us to find a guy that can, distribute the football. We're not looking for Derek Carr. We're looking for a guy that can distribute the ball so we can run the offense at a high level like we did a year ago. We had 3 receivers catch for over 1,000 yards. So that's the emphasis in the offense, is who can distribute the football, who can, find a one-on-one and run the team. And so, like I said, we're anxious to get on the field and find out who that guy's going to be.
Good questions for Coach. We got a mic.
Other than the quarterback spot, Coach, is there one position battle that you're going to be watching the most closely, that you're waiting to see who's going to really emerge there?
Well, we got a lot of holes. We got to replace IB, which I think is extremely critical. We got to replace Devontae Adams. Like I said, this offense is about the players, and it's about getting the ball in space to the right guy as fast as we can get it there. And if our quarterback is on point and he can find the one-on-one and we can get it to those guys in space, then we're going to be successful. We had a guy the last 2 years that could do that. And I feel good about our guys. We just got to settle on who that guy's going to be. But replacing IB and Devontae, there's well over 2,000 yards in receptions right there. We got to replace Marcel Jensen. We got to find a left guard. There's a lot of work to do, and so the sooner we can get going on it, the better we're going to feel.
Coach, what do you like about Brandon Connect, and how does his skill set translate to the offense you guys are replacing?
But I don't know. I don't know that until I get on the field and get a chance to work with him. The thing I like the most about him is he's played. And he's played against good people. I think that is probably the advantage in the competition that he has. With Brian and Zach, and Kilton, they've never played in games against the caliber of people with the success that Brandon has had. Now that being said, he's a very different quarterback than what we have here. So he was never asked to do the things that we're going to ask him to do. Is he capable of doing those things? I don't know. This summer we were allowed to meet with our guys a little bit, and he's a smart guy. You can tell he's played a lot of football. He comes from a program where the head coach, coached the Manning brothers. So he's sat in meetings. He understands, how to prepare. But the thing we got to find out is, how can he handle our offense? And I think that's the advantage that both Zach and Brian have. They know our system. They know what the expectations are. They know what our terminology is. They know the tempos that we use. They have played against our defense, and that's going to be huge. Our defense will give you problems. As good as we've been offensively the last 2 years, the unsung hero for that is our defense, because we get to play against them every single day. And, there's times where they make us look ugly, and in a good way. We are challenged more every day by our defense than we are in games that we play. That's why we're good. And so it'll be interesting to see how he handles all that. I don't know, because I haven't been able to be on the field with him yet. So, we'll see. I think the competition will take care of itself.
In terms of the running backs, obviously the passing attack had a more prominent role in the offense the last couple of years, and according to the preseason depth chart, Quezada and Waller are both kind of interchangeable, I guess? Do you expect one of those guys to step up, or do you go
I
right
mean,
back?
yeah, if they did, that'd be fine. You know, we can play with 2 guys, we can play with 3 guys back there. Both of those guys are very, very solid, good players in our league. You know, they are very smart, very physical, do a great job in pass protection. And so, you know, we'll lean on those guys heavily. Now, does that mean we're going to run the ball more than we have? The offense isn't really built that way. You know, we're gonna do what the defense gives us, and so, you know, we'll see if people want to try to, you know, put one more guy in the box and, you know, close the middle, then we got to be able to throw the football. And if we can't, then it's going to be a long year. You know, they open up the middle of the field, and we should be able to run the football. And so, you know, I mean, and all that stuff has to happen at a high pace. We're going to continue to play fast. You know, we're not going to slow down because Derek Carr is not taking the snaps. You know, so we'll continue to play fast. I feel confident in our ability to do that. We just got to find the pieces of the puzzle, you know, to be able to run the offense.
Dave, you've got a lot of, obviously you've mentioned the question marks you've got at multiple positions, but at the skill position, at least you get back Josh Harper, played 11 games. I know he played only 5 2 years ago, but what's it like having him back, and assuming he's going to be fully healthy like we think he is, you know, the impact he can have not only on the field, but with all the other receivers and maybe even the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, Josh is our guy. I mean, he's our guy that we got to make people take away. And, you know, whether he's line up to the boundary or to the field, if people are going to close the middle or try to roll and cover him up, you know, that's going to be for us to see as we start playing opponents. But I don't know that there's a better receiver in our league. You know, he's extremely physical. He's very dynamic. And you know, so, you know, we'll try to get as much out of Josh as we did a year ago. The question is going to be, who's the next Devontae Adams? You know, we came here 2 years ago, no one knew who he was. You know, we got to have a guy step up. Who's the next Isaiah Burst? We got to find that slot. We got to find a guy to play in the slot. Who's going to take Marcel's spot? I mean, those are the critical questions that we have to answer. If we don't find a guy, then it's going to be a long year for Josh, because he's going to be doubled every day, on every play, and he should be. But if we can force teams to not be able to do that, then, you know, I mean, that's what the offense is. It's a spread offense. And we got to find 2 more guys that have 1,000 yards in reception, you know, and so, you know, that's the goal.
Coach, you talked about how you haven't seen Connect play yet, but when he officially committed to Fresno State, did you have to add or subtract to the playbook? Were you already thinking about new plays? Because he's obviously a great runner. He showed that the last few years. So are you going to?
Well, I mean, I've seen him play on film. You know, I mean, I've seen what he's done in games. But what he was doing doesn't really translate to what we do. So when I say that, I mean I haven't been with him on the field, you know, in our system. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, we think the guy can help us, you know, or he wouldn't be here. So, you know, again, I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to evaluate his ability, other than what I saw him do, you know, at Duke on film, where he was mainly a runner. You know, we're not gonna change. You know, I mean, you guys know we had a guy that it didn't matter. You could drop 11 and he was going to find a seam and he was going to hit it, and that was the confidence Derek Carr had in his ability, you know, to throw the football. And you know, anybody that's been around football, you want a quarterback who believes he can fit a ball into a tight window. Well, Derek believed he could do that, and most of the time he was right. So, you know, there was times in our offense that he could pull the ball down and run it, but he chose to fit it in a tight window, and you know, I mean, that was great for us, right? So, you know, I mean, it's a production-oriented business, and we were very productive in that way. So, you know, I don't see the offense changing a whole lot. You know, obviously, you know, I don't know that we'll have a guy that is going to be as daring throwing the football, but I don't want him to be. We will never ask anybody to be somebody they're not. The goal is not to be Derek Carr. The goal is not to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. The goal is to take care of the football team, execute the offense, and win a Mountain West Conference championship. And that's the goal. You know, and in doing so, we got to distribute the ball, and you know, we got to do the things we got to do to be successful. But So, you know, I mean, I'll have a lot better answer to that question as we get through camp, and I can kind of get a feel for, you know, how he responds to mainly the adversity that our defense is going to give him.
Dave, what was your assessment of the quarterbacks in-house by the end of the spring ball?
Obviously, you know, we felt like Brian had the best grasp of what we're trying to do. So, you know, you got to keep in mind spring ball is a little bit different, as is the first part of fall camp, where we're not really game planning anybody. We're not game planning an opponent. We're just trying to get stuff installed that we're going to use during the season. And within that structure, we got to have some competition, you know, to see who can handle the stress and the pressure, you know, of the game. So, I mean, if we were going to play a game today, Brian Burrell would be our starter, you know, and until we can, you know, figure out what the other guys can do, you know, we'll go from there. Zach Greenlee is a very, very talented guy. But he's got to grow up like all freshmen do, you know, and I think he will. He's a smart guy. And I like his skill set for what we ask a quarterback to do. Kilton Anderson is an extremely athletic guy, probably the most athletic of the four. And, you know, but he's right out of high school, so we'll have to see, you know, and you know, so time will tell.
Maybe it's a little different at the quarterback position, but you have some other true freshmen too that a lot has been said about, that people have seen their athleticism and their highlight reels. Scobie comes to mind. What would it take for a true freshman, and how soon would you make that decision? What would you have to see from a true freshman, say in the first few weeks of camp, to say, you know what, that's a guy that's going to see the field this year and not be sitting out?
Well, he's got to give us the best chance to win. I mean, in our assessment, you know, not that we have all the answers, but we got to feel as a coaching staff that guy gives us the best chance to win. You know, it's Division I football. You know, it's not high school. You know, it's not Pop Warner. Everybody doesn't get to play. So, you know, our goal is we're going to win. You know, to win games, we're going to play the best guy. And who is the best guy in our assessment? You know, that's the guy that's going to play, and they'll learn that opportunity. So, you know, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're very, very talented at a lot of positions. You know, now how that translates to football, you know, we'll find out soon enough. But you know, they're gonna have to prove that they're the best guy through competition.
All right, why don't we let Coach Schramm go? We'll bring up Coach DeRuiter. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Coach Dave Schramm, the offensive coordinator. We've heard from both coordinators now, and what's left to talk about with Coach DeRuiter?
I don't know. I think he's pretty much not much else to say, right?